All right, now I'm not muted anymore. All right, I'm going to do the exam one review. Again, I apologize for not getting it out sooner. I wanted to go back through the exam. That way, the same techniques that we do in this exam review will be the same ones that you are going to need to do on the test. Okay, so if we work out using the quadratic equation and it doesn't work out, we're going to show you here the best ways to solve these questions. That way you don't leave with any unanswered questions, hopefully. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We'll get started. Okay, so what I did, I went through and I looked at the questions. So it is pretty much these 18 questions. Similar solving patterns is what we got to do here. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. But your exam needs to be done before next Tuesday. Again, you get the formula sheet. You also get a step forms where you need to write out all your work on that as well. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first one is solve the absolute value inequality, express your solution in interval notation. Okay, so I was looking through the options of questions that they might have for this one. There's some that are greater than or equal to, there's some that are less than or equal to, but all of them are above 0, so there's no trick questions on this. Okay, so how you need to do that is set up your two equations because it's an absolute value. So the first one is going to be 2x plus 7 is going to be greater than or equal to 19. Okay, and then the second one is going to be 2x plus 7 is going to be negative 19, and since it's negative, this sign flips to less than or equal to. Solve it out, so I'm going to minus 7. So I get 2x is greater than or equal to 12, and then divide by 2, and so x is greater than or equal to 6. Same thing on the next one, minus 7. I get 2x is less than or equal to negative 26, divide by 2, x is less than or equal to negative 13. Okay, go ahead and graph it. So x is less than or equal to negative 13. Negative 13 is there. Less than or equal to would be below. And since it's less than or equal to, it's a bracket. Greater than or equal to 6. So I'm going to put 6 there. Greater than or equal to is a bracket, and it's above. Okay, so it goes to infinity. This one goes to negative infinity. And so I just need to write this out. Okay, so this interval right here is negative infinity to negative 13. It's a bracket on this side. This is a parenthesis. And on this one, bracket 6 to infinity. That's your answer. Okay. The next question, simplify the following. Okay, so this is imaginary or dealing with the i's and the imaginary. Okay, so what you need to remember on this is I squared is equal to negative 1. Otherwise, you FOIL it out just the same as anything else, just like you would of any other variable. 6 times 7 is 42. 6 times negative 3i, negative 18i. 2i times 7 is 14i. And then 2i times negative 3i is negative 6i squared. Okay, so again, treat the I as a variable. And if you have an I squared, just plug in negative 1. So that'd be 42. Negative 18 and 14i would be negative 4i. And then minus 6, I squared is negative 1. So this becomes plus 6. So 42 minus 4i plus 6. Add these two together, 42 and 6. And I'm left with 48 minus 4i. Okay. Number 3, solve the linear equation. Okay, so what you need to do here is go ahead and just distribute. They want to see that. So that'd be 4x minus 20 on the left. On the right would be 6x plus 21. And solve it out. Okay, so I'm going to bring all the x's over. So I'm going to minus 6x. And go ahead and add my 20 to that side. So that crossed off and this crossed off. So I'm left with negative 2x is equal to 41. Divide by the negative 2. x is equal to negative 41 over 2. Okay. Next one, I'm going to go ahead and clear this. Move it up a little bit. Okay. So the next one, solve the absolute value inequality or equation exactly like I did above, except we're not going to have intervals because it's an equal sign. Okay. So again, I can only get two answers when the absolute value is by itself. Okay, so I need to move the -7 to the right, and I do that by go ahead and adding 7. So when I do that, I get 5x plus 3, absolute value is equal to 10. Now I can write my two answers. I can say 5x plus 3 has to equal 10, just like what it shows, and then 5x plus 3 equals negative 10. Subtract off 3, subtract off 3. So I get 5x is equal to 7. Divide by 5, x is equal to 7/5. Same thing on this one, -3. 5x is equal to negative 13. Divide by 5, x is equal to negative 13/5. That's it. Moving on. Number 5, it says solve the inequality expressed in interval notation and graph. Okay, it's very similar to what you did with the absolute value, except we won't have two different solutions here. Okay, so what I would do first is minus 8p. So then I'd get negative 4p plus 5 is less than negative 7. Subtract 5. You get negative 4p is less than negative 12. Divide by negative 4. And remember, anytime I divide by a negative or multiply by a negative, I have to flip a sign. So since this is less than, it's going to be p is greater than 3. Okay. So I'm going to graph it first. P is greater than 3. It's just greater than. Okay, so it's only going to be a parenthesis, and it's going to go above. And it's going to infinity. Okay, so my interval notation, my interval is just 3 to infinity. And my graph is above. Okay. Number 6. Okay, so number 6 is how long would it take for a ball to be dropped off a 288-foot tall building to hit the ground? It's going to give you equations. Okay, so if you hit the equation, but it's going to give you two different equations. Okay, actually just one equation, and it's going to be height is equal to negative 1/2 times g, which is gravity, times t squared plus v naught of t plus h. Okay, and so this is exactly how the question is going to read. How long will it take for the ball dropped a 288-foot tall building to hit the ground? Okay, so since it hits the ground, it takes a lot of the solving out of it. Okay, and also since it's dropped, okay, it takes a lot out. Since it's dropped, you know my velocity at the beginning, I didn't throw it, it's going to be 0. Since it hit the ground, my height at the end is 0, it hit the ground. Okay, now the gravity, that's going to be the key. Okay, it's going to give you that g is equal to negative 32 feet per second square. Okay, or g is equal to negative 9.8 meters per second square. It's going to give you both. And you got to figure out which one I want to plug in. Okay, the reason you're going to plug in the 32 is because it's going to give you 288 feet. Okay, and it's going to give you 288 feet, or it's going to give you something with feet, something. Okay, so you will not use this one. You will use this one, and you're going to plug in that for g. Okay, the question will read like this. All right, so now let's go ahead and plug it in. My height that I want to at the ending height, and again, this h at the end of this equation that's the initial height. Okay, so that's the height of the building. Okay, so it's going to be 0 is equal to negative 1/2 times negative 32. I don't think it's negative, actually. 1/2 of negative 32 times t squared. Plus 0, because my initial velocity is 0. Plus my height of the building is 288. Yeah. Okay, so what they want you to plug in is 288, negative 32, 0. Height of the building, gravity, which is negative 32, 0 there. And then, so this is how you're going to solve it out. So 0 is equal to negative 16 t squared plus 288. And you're going to solve it out by subtracting 288 over. So negative 288 is equal to negative 16 t squared. You're going to divide by negative 16. I got rid of that. Once you get an answer there, which 288 divided by 16, let me get a calculator out here. 288 divided by 16. 288 divided by 16, 18. So now I'm left with 18 is equal to t squared, and then square root. So my t is equal to square root of 18. Square root of 18. 4.24. So t is equal to 4.24 seconds. They're going to ask you to round to the nearest hundredth. Okay. Make sure you round to the second decimal place. Okay, so that's the most missed question on exams. Okay, but that's how you're going to have to do it. And it's going to be set up exactly like this. Exactly. Okay. Okay. The next one, 7, solve using the square root property. Okay, well, we're going to square root it right off the bat. Okay, so I'm going to get 2x minus 5. Remember, anytime you square root something, it needs to be plus or minus radical 40. We need to go ahead and simplify radical 40, which would be perfect square of radical 4, or radical 10, which would be 2 radical 10. So now, technically, it should read 2x minus 5 is equal to plus or minus 2 radical 10. Add my 5 over, so I get 2x is equal to 5 plus or minus 2 radical 10, and then divide by 2. So x is going to equal 5 plus or minus 2 radical 10 over 2. Notice they all don't cancel out, or they all don't have something in common, so you can't simplify it any farther than that. That's it. Okay. Next. Number 8, it's going to say solve using the quadratic formula. You know that anytime they say that, there's going to be no other way to solve it. You can't factor if they say it's solve using the quadratic formula. They're going to make sure that you can't actually solve this out. Okay. So first thing you got to do is set it equal to 0. So 3x squared plus 5x minus 11 equal to 0. Notice how I had minus 11 to get that 0. And then I set it up. A is equal to 3. B is equal to 5. C is equal to negative 11. Okay. And again, the quadratic formula, which you will have on your formula sheet, is negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. So when I plug these into that equation, I get negative 5 plus or minus radical 5 squared, which is 25, minus 4 times 3 times negative 11, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 3. Okay. Simplify it out, so that's negative 5 plus or minus radical 25. It's going to be plus because negative times a negative is going to be a positive. 4 times 3 times 11. It's 132 over 6. So it's going to be equal to negative 5 plus or minus radical 157 over 6. And you can look for possible values to break down 157, but there is none. You should try to simplify that if you can, but if you can't, leave it like that. And you're done. Okay. Pretty sure that one is a multiple choice question. Okay, so if you get to that point, you should be able to see an answer with that on there. Okay. All right. Number 9. Solve the polynomial equation. Okay. So if you'll notice, I think the first one I've changed so far is this one. Okay, so this is going to be different than what's on your sheet. Okay, so I went back and changed the numbers. That way I could use the same techniques as they want you to use on the test. Okay. The what numbers I have on the sheet that you would have to use the quadratic equation, whereas I believe this one is going to go ahead and factor out. Okay, so first thing I need to do is minus my 42x over. So I get 3x cubed plus 11x squared minus 42x equals 0. Have to set it equal to 0. Then pull out what you can. Well, I can pull out an x. So I'm left with 3x squared plus 11x minus 42 equals 0. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to go ahead and write all my answers. So anytime I can factor something like this out, I can set it equal to 0 right away. Okay, so x has to be 0. So that's 1. Now I can forget about doing this. Notice x cubed, how many answers do I need? I need 3. Okay, so I got 1 so far with the 0. Now out of this, I should get 2 more. Okay. I'm going to go ahead. You can do this a lot of ways. I'm going to go ahead and use the slip and slide method. So I'm going to multiply that by 3. I'm just going to make a note that I multiplied by 3. So at the end, I divide by 3. So x squared plus 11x minus 126. Okay. So now I'm looking for 2 numbers that multiply up to 126, but add up to 11. Negative 126, but add up to 11. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and try a couple different things. 126, let's say, divided by 2 obviously is 63, so that's too much. 126 divided by 4 would be 31.5. That's not right. 126 divided by, let's say, 3 is 42, but that's too far away. 126. Let's try 9. 126 divided by 9 is 14. Can't make that work. 126 divided by 8. 126 divided by 7. There it is. 126 divided by 7 is 7 and 18. Okay, so those differ by 11. Okay, so I can break this down into saying x, I'm going to write over here. X plus 18, and then x minus 7. Negative 7 times 18 is negative 126. And when I add those two together, I get 11. Now, I multiplied by 3. I need to divide both by 3. Okay. So I divide by 3. If it works out, great. If not, I bring it up and go ahead and go with it. Okay, so notice the one on the left divides out. So this one's going to be x plus 6. This one right here does not divide out, so I go ahead and just move it up. So it's 3x minus 7. Set each equal to 0. So x is equal to negative 6 on that one. And on this one, I'm going to go ahead and write this out. 3x minus 7 is equal to 0. Add 7. So 3x is equal to 7. Divide by 3. X is equal to 7/3. Okay. So that's how they want you to solve for number 9. Now you could solve it using the quadratic equation once you got it down. But I think they made it easy enough where you could factor this out. Okay. And I like the slip and slide method. So those are your 3 answers. The next, solve the equation. Okay, so this one I changed as well. And because what I changed, I went with the z over z minus 2 minus 5 over z plus 4 is equal to z squared over z, or yeah, z squared plus 2x. Oh, that's supposed to be a z, I'm sorry. 2z minus 8, okay. And so why I did this is the one that I originally have on here didn't work out the best, okay. Anytime you have this, you need to mark what z cannot equal right off the bat. So this one z cannot equal 2, and this one z cannot equal -4, because you can't have 0 in the bottom, okay? Notice that this is the same as z plus 4 times z minus 2. So if I rewrite, it's going to be z over z minus 2 minus 5 over z plus 4 is equal to z squared over z plus, or z minus 2, z plus 4. Okay, so we got to get common denominators, then we can cross everything out. Notice this one has z minus 2, z plus 4. They all need z minus 2, z plus 4. The first one is missing z plus 4. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the top and bottom there by z plus 4. Okay, so now it matches that one. The second one, I'm missing a z minus 2, so I'm going to go ahead and put z minus 2 on top and bottom. And then the last one has them both already, so I don't need to do anything. Okay. Notice they're all, the bottoms are the same, so I can get rid of it. And I can start solving this out up top. Okay, so that would be z squared. I'm going to go ahead and distribute z squared plus 4z. Make sure I take my minus with the 5. So -5 times z is -5z. And -5 times -2 is +10. And that's equal to z squared. Simplify it out. So I get z squared minus z plus 10 is equal to z squared. Okay. Cross off what I can, since z squared is on both sides. I get -z plus 10 is equal to 0. I could just add my z over, and I get 10 is equal to 3. And there's my answer. That's how it's going to look on the exam. It's going to work out very similar to that. Make sure if it doesn't, that's not a B, that's a 10 by the way. But make sure you check your answers over here to make sure z was not 2 and z was not -4. Okay. All right, number 11. Solve the radical. Okay, I believe I changed this one as well to something similar to what you were going to see there. Okay, so I'm going to square both sides. On the left, I get 4x squared plus 3x. On the right, make sure I understand it's 2x plus 4. Oh, I'm sorry. 2x plus 4 times 2x plus 4. Which would be 4x squared, that times that, plus 8x, plus another 8x, plus 16. Simplified out would be 4x squared plus 16x plus 16. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. Okay, notice the x squareds cross off right away. And because of the hour time limit, you can guess that usually they work out like that, where you're going to cross some things off, okay, where they're going to simplify this out for you a little bit more than they needed to. Okay, so 3x is equal to 16x plus 16 minus my 16x over. So I get -13x is equal to 16. Divide by -13, x is equal to 16 over -16 over 13. That's it. Okay. If they wouldn't have give you one that crossed off, you would have to use then the quadratic equation or factoring or whatever. Okay, but they're going to give you something that crosses off. They're going to give you something that can work out pretty easily like that. Okay. Next one. Find the distance between 2 points and the midpoint. Okay, so find the distance and the midpoint. I like the midpoint better, so we're going to do that first. Remember, it's x, so this is your x, this is your y, this is an x, this is a y. Remember, your midpoint is the middle of these 2 points, so it's the middle of your x's and the middle of your y's. Okay, so again, it's the average, where you add them together and divide by 2. 3 plus 8 is 11. Write that out. Divided by 2. And then 6 plus -2 divided by 2. So your midpoint is going to be 11 halves and 4 halves. 6 minus 2 is 4, which is 2. That's your midpoint. Your distance. Remember, it's your radical. And it's the distance from like 3 to 8. Notice the distance from 3 to 8 is 5. Okay, and technically the formula is x minus x, so 3 minus 8, which is -5. But it's gonna, when you square it, it doesn't matter. Plus, and I'm gonna go 6 minus -2 squared. So that's the same thing as -5 squared. Plus, minus is 8, which is equal to 25 plus 64, which is equal to radical 80. Right. What's your distance? Okay. Find the x and y intercepts of this graph. Okay, and we need to graph it. So let's go ahead and draw the basics graph. Okay. The x-intercept. Remember, anytime you find the x-intercept, y is equal to 0. Okay. Anytime you want to find the y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So all you got to do is plug in those to get these 2 numbers. So let's do the x-intercept first. So my y is 0, which means this goes away because 5 times 0 is 0. So now I just have 4x is equal to 40. Well, when I divide by 4, x is equal to 10. My y-intercept, my x is equal to 0, which 4 times 0 is 0. So now I'm left with -5, y is equal to 40. When I divide by -5, I get y is equal to -8. And now I just plot those 2 points. Let's say that's 10. Down here is -8. Point, follow the graph. All right, 14. Write an equation in slope-intercept form. Okay, so slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is your slope, that b is your y-intercept. Well, I know slope is 7, so I can go ahead and plug that in. Y is equal to 7x plus b. And then they give you a point, x, y. So they give me, again, all I need to finish this is that b value. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write this out. Y is equal to 7x plus something. Okay, and this is going to be my answer. But now I need to find that something. So I'm going to go ahead and plug. This is x, this is y. So -2 is equal to 7 times 8 plus that b. -2 is equal to 56 plus b minus 56. And I get b is equal to -58. Okay, and so 7x plus -58, they might count that wrong because the plus minus. So technically, you should get rid of the plus and just say this is minus 58. So that's how you do that. Cool. 15. Now they just give you 2 points. Okay, so what they really want you to do is find the slope first and then work it out exactly like number 14. Remember slope. M is equal to y minus y over x minus x. Y's over the x's. What people miss the most is they put the x's over the y's. It's y over x. Okay, so it's 4 minus -8. Again, these are your y's. These are your x's. So the y over y, x, x. So 4 minus 8. M is equal to 4 plus 8, which is 12, over 4 minus 8, which is -4, which is equal to -3. Okay, so I'm going to do the exact same thing as what I did. Write out my answer. Y is equal to -3x plus something. And now I just need to find that something. Okay, so I'm going to set it up. Y is equal to -3x plus b. And I'm just going to plug a point. I like 4, 4. So 4 is equal to -3 times 4 plus b. 4 is equal to -12 plus b. Add 12, b is equal to 16. 16. And that's my answer. Next, 16. Put the following in slope-intercept form. Write an equation parallel through the point -1 through -3. Okay. Put the following in slope-intercept form. That means solve for y. So minus my 3x. So I get 5y is equal to -3x plus 11 divided by 5. Divided by 5. Divided by 5. Divided by 5. Y is equal to -3/5 x plus 11/5. That's your first answer. That's slope-intercept form. Now the next one, write an equation parallel. Okay, so there's going to be a couple different options for you to get on this test. Some of them will be parallel, some of them perpendicular. Remember, parallel. Anytime it's parallel, m is equal to m. Okay, anytime it's perpendicular, m is equal to -1 over m. Okay, it's the negative reciprocal. Okay, this one says parallel. So on this one, I know my slope is equal to -3/5. And since it's parallel, it's going to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and write my solution like I've done every other one. -3/5 x plus something. Go ahead and box it so I know that's my answer when I'm done. And now I'm going to go ahead and work it out. So y is equal to -3/5 x plus b. I'm solving for b. Through the point -1, -3. This is x. This is y. So -3 is y, equal to -3/5 times -1. That's b. -1 times -3/5 is just 3/5. So -3 is equal to 3/5. Plus b. I'm going to subtract off 3/5. So -3 minus 3/5 is equal to b. Now I got to get common denominators. Okay, so 3 is the same as, with the denominator of 5 would be 15/5. So -15 over 5. Notice 15 divided by 5 is the 3. Minus 3/5 is equal to b. And -15 minus 3 is -18/5. So -18/5 is my answer there. And notice they don't like the plus minus. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and change my plus into a minus. That's 18/5. Next one. Find the equation of a circle. Okay. Equation of a circle. Remember that is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, where hk is your center. Remember, hk is your center, and they will always give you what that center is. Okay, so go ahead and write that x minus 5 squared plus y. Notice that minus -2, that's going to be plus 2 squared is equal to r squared. Now I know my answer is going to be something similar to this, except the number filled in right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and write my answer out. X minus 5 squared plus y plus 2 squared is equal to something. Circle my answer. But now I got to find that something. Passes through the point 2, -7, where that's your x, that's your y. So to get that something on this side, okay, I can just get rid of this r squared because I don't need to know what r is. I just need to know what this r squared is. And just plug in 2, 7. 2 minus 5 squared plus -7 plus 2 squared equals something. -3 squared, -5 squared, 9 plus 25 equal to 34. There's your answer. Okay. Last question, number 18. Given the equation of a circle, you got to find the center, find the radius, and graph it. Remember, your original equation is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. Okay, so 16, let's do that one first, is equal to r squared. I don't want to know what r squared is. I want to know what r is. So I just square root it. R is equal to 4. That's my radius. Then I know HK is my center. So 7 is that one. Notice it's a plus, so it has to be -3. That's my center. Now I got to graph it. That's not too bad because you just graph 7, -3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Down 1, 2, 3. Plot the center. That's 7, -3. Okay, and then go radius of 4. So just count. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a point. Down 4. Left 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And right 4. Let's say it's somewhere around there. And there's my circle. That's it. That's the test. Okay, in a nutshell, that's the test. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. But really, this should be exactly what you need to know for the test, and not any more, not any less. So let me know again if you have any questions, or if you have any trouble getting on the test. Again, give me a call. My phone number is 620-242-3956. And that way, if you have any issues at all getting on the test, give me a call and I'll make sure the program's set up correctly. Okay. Thanks again. Good luck.